Okay, so spring has arrived here in Western West Virginia, and which means that it's still March, and it means that our frost date still is the 21st of May to the 31st of May, which means I won't be planting, but I will be uncovering this bird bath to make me happier, because now it looks like, I can get outside. And you can see the tulips are up. But I started working out here this morning. I thought, I probably would like to show you guys the last cleanup of the perennial border, because I left some things out here for winter interest, like the tall grasses, my autumn ferns, and a couple other things that I'm going to be cleaning off today because it's time. Now's the time to cut these off. The autumn ferns, what I love about them, they are hardy down to zone 5, and they keep a nice winter interest. Usually they don't get this floppy till late winter, and then you wait until this time of year to start cutting them back. Particularly over on this one, you can see a little bit of green growth just starting on this one that I did start cutting back already. You can see the leaves coming out. So you cut them back. And the other thing about the autumn fern is the fact that I love the coppery color it turns in the summer as well, and it keeps that color all season long. They can take up to 2 to 3 hours of direct sunlight, and in my garden it can take a little more because there's some spots. There's particularly one over behind the hairy ladder walking stick that gets a little more sunlight depending on the time of day. These two are pretty much in the shade, but they have such nice color and texture, and they give such a wonderful appearance. So, all you do is you cut them clear back, and what you're going to see is they will start coming out of their little ground here with another little leaf. And you can cut those little limbs off right there. As for fertilizing, they like, looks like a cat's been digging here. They like nice, moist, well-drained soil. I just keep it mulched. Probably when I start fertilizing, I will throw a little plant tone down. It's not necessary. They are quite resilient plants and beautiful to have in the garden. So we are cutting off the autumn ferns, which we've done, and they're deer resistant too. But like I said, if deer get hungry enough, they're going to eat everything. The other thing I'm doing, I'm going through, this is hairy bittercress, this weed, and the only way I can control it is to pull it out of the ground. See that little flower? You want to get these out of your gardens before they, start throwing their seed heads. So today I'll go through and dig these out. And they're really easy this time of year because the soil is so moist to stay on top of them. The other thing that's coming out of the ground very easily are my nemesis, my wild onions. I'm digging these out today. Look at that. Get them by the roots. There's always thousands of them. And this is the time of year that you do, this is what you do in March. You get out here on a pretty day and pull these weeds that you don't like out. Oh, look at this. The hyacinths get ready to come up. But look how easy these, the hairy bittercress come out so easily. So I'm going to be doing that today. It is the spring cleanup. The other thing I'm going to do, and I've been working on, my, I'll think of this word, foxgloves. These old leaves that look pretty shabby, just to clean up your plant. If it bothers you, I don't think it makes a big difference as to how they'll grow. But I'm going to go through and clean out and clean up anything dead or yellowed. Clean that out of there to make it look neater and tidier. I've done a few back in here, and I think it just looks so much nicer already. This one's been cleaned up. I was working on this one. And then you can take out the spent stem very easily. pulls right out. And it just, everything, it makes it greener looking, in my opinion. So, oh, here's, okay, I need to stay focused. You don't do that. You need to dig out your little onions. Now they'll just live there and multiply. So let's move forward. And the weeds, the onions will not go in the compost at all. Let me leave my digging tool here. Let me take that. So come over here. The other thing I'm cutting off today, this is my catmint or nepeta. I love this plant. It has beautiful purple blooms on it in the summer. And throughout the summer, probably about in June or end of June, 1st of July, it gets a really nice, probably 3 foot by 3 foot, full of blooms. And you can deadhead each bloom, but you don't do that. You just cut the plant off across the top. If this was all blooms, cut it off. And then at the end of the season, I cut it back. And now that I can see some new growth, I'm going in here and cut out all the dead wood. It smells nice too. Now, I have 3 cats, and they don't get into it and tear it up and waller in it. I can cut a few of them, like in the summer, I'll cut some of the little limbs, squish it a little bit, particularly for the old cat, Wilson Beauregard. I'll lay it there and they'll waller in it, and they really enjoy the scent of it. I also cut it, bring it inside and dry it, and I'll crush that up and put it on some of their toys, but it does smell good. So you want to clean this up the best you can so it looks tidier. It's all about now getting things tidier. And I keep talking about when I'm going to fertilize. Well, I'm not going to fertilize until this ground warms a little more. Our temperatures just today are going to be in the 60s through the week, but there's a chance in the 10-day forecast that it's going to drop into the 20s for a couple days. And there was some like snow flurries, not like 6 inches of snow that we had a couple weeks ago. And I'm going to hold off till I see a little more leaf budding out on my trees and my shrubs and the plants before I lay down any fertilizer, and let the ground warm a little bit. And it's just around here, we're in zone 6, West Virginia. It's just too soon. And that'll be an easy job to do. This is an easy job to do. It just makes you feel so good when you look out here now to get this all cleaned up as tidy as you can. Seminole wind. And I'll go through, I'm looking at these tags. I've got some new tags. Get some nicer tags. That's my daylily Seminole wind. Those are the little things you do in March and in April. That, and hopefully in the next week or so, I'll start some indoor seedlings. There's another autumn fern. I'll clean that off. I won't bore you with that right now. The other thing I do with my irises, when these brown tips, I'll go in and just clean and tidy them up too while I'm out here today. Easy little jobs, but then when I look out, it'll make me much happier. I like seeing all the foxgloves coming up. And my primroses are blooming, which looks very nice. Now the biggest job today is cutting back. This is a miscanthus sinensis, or a zebra grass. I love it because it's variegated. And it was given to me many years ago by a friend. And I have divided it. This is the time of year, if your tall grasses have gotten a little out of hand, now is the time to cut them back. And then you'll want to moisten the soil real well before you dig a clump out, if that's what you want to do. And I did that a couple years ago to control it. I haven't found it that invasive. You may read about it and it may say it can be invasive, but this plant has stayed nice and controlled right in this one spot, and I love it. I love to keep it on because of the seed heads. It's the winter interest. Now I've kept it tied to keep it upright or else it'd be flopping. and I start tying my grasses once they get about 4 to 5 feet tall, so that they stay nice and limbed up or lifted up, so that all the other plants under here, because these are a couple hydrangeas, which, you know, I'll never buy small again. Not at my age. I will buy a full-size plant. Anyway, when you're working with the grasses, I tell you, these things are sharp, and particularly when it's in the summer, the grasses will cut you. But always use a nice, good glove when you're in here cutting. And what I have decided today, the way I've started cutting these back, and this grass also, this is hardy down to zone 4. It doesn't require a lot of fertilization. Again, you can throw just some compost around it, which I'll probably do. Keep it mulched. It likes to be moist. I think it looks beautiful along a river's bank. I find to cut my grasses off, I go ahead and take some of the top part off first and use a nice pair of loppers. Let's get this out of the way. Like that. And then I'll cut these up into smaller pieces. I won't put these on the compost pile. I've done that in the past. They take too long to decompose. I may cut them up in small pieces and put them on my riverbank. We have a big muskrat hole that I am thinking of. I put the sod that I took off of the walkway that was under the willow in that hole. And today I think I'm going to pour all this in the hole and then put some rocks in there to help fill that up if possible. You're going to go in here about as close to the ground as you can get and just start cutting this back. Because with this kind of heat and sun, you'll start seeing some grass growing back. But this will look so nice out of my window too, from the house. This reminds me of winter when these seed heads are still up. Getting them down will be a true sign that spring is on the way. It's a messy job. Not a hard one. So you can see how quickly these hedge trimmers make short work of the job. And I will rake all this off. And when you cut them back, you'll see I've created a rounded form, which gives the grass a really nice form when it's growing. So that's what we all need to be doing. It's not getting tied up in your grasses, but get out there, do your last of your perennial border trimming up and pruning, and look forward to some warmer weather to start fertilizing. That's it for today, and thanks for watching Gardening on the West Fork, Zone 6, Western West Virginia, and hit the bell and subscribe so you'll see the next videos coming up, because it is spring and there's more to come. Thanks for watching.